Don't touch the yellow lever yet. I know that sounds like theater, but it's attached to 800 pounds of counterweight and a sail full of desert wind.
That's exactly why you paint a lever yellow. A gray lever says utilities. A yellow lever says Act 3.
It also says the paint is fresh. Quentin, your cuff is now part of the mechanism.
Good. Wardrobe continuity. Leave it.
For anyone who arrived late, we have built a wind-powered message line across a dry lake that does not need to exist. Like, each of us brought something we kept improving after it had already delivered all the value we originally asked from it. We're going to send those things down the line, build a test for when this is the hard requirement. Identify one genuinely promising improvement and refuse to make it.
Not refuse because we're tired, not refuse because it failed. Leave it alive, attractive, possible, and still choose to stop. That's what drew me here. A lot of us know how to break through resistance. Fewer of us know how to recognize that resistance is sometimes the last free part of the world saying, you have enough.
And the line itself is our first suspect. It began as 2 posts and a cable to carry objects across the salt without walking them. Then Marc asked for branching logic. Jim added custody tags. Quentin wanted the receiving tower hidden until the final approach. Tony suggested the objects should gain speed when the sender commits emotionally.
I withdrew that suggestion.
After I showed you the pressure sensor.
The pressure sensor looked judgmental.
It looked like a bathroom scale built by a parole board.
The current machine has no emotional telemetry. It has 4 towers, 300 meters of line, 2 gravity drops, 1 wind sail, 5 carriers, and manual brakes at both ends. Either endpoint can stop the whole apparatus.
Which is why it's already better governed than most software companies.
That joke is going on the liability plaque.
See, we're already improving the plaque. This room is a trap.
It's a useful trap if we keep the original task visible. 5 artifacts make 1 transit each. At every tower, we may improve the carrier or the rule, but we must state what new failure or new purpose authorizes the change. No authorization, no modification.
And if somebody says it would be better, that doesn't count?
Better is an infinite warrant. It converts every finished thing into an underperforming asset.
Beautiful. Horrible. Put that on the other side of the plaque.
First carrier is ready. Marc, yours.
This is a prototype neighborhood bulletin system. The original was almost embarrassingly small. A page where 12 households could post requests and offers. Ladder available. Need a ride. Extra citrus. It worked in 48 hours. People helped one another. Then I added reputation, matching, neighborhood boundaries, moderation tiers, availability calendars, suggested exchanges, identity verification, an expansion kit, and a dashboard measuring the density of local trust.
You took a corkboard and made it eligible for a Series B.
And every addition was individually defensible. That's important. There was no villainous turn where I said, now I will ruin the useful thing. A missed handoff suggested calendars. One awkward interaction suggested reputation. A dispute suggested moderation. Interest from the next block suggested geographic scaling. The system got more capable while the gathering it enabled got less spontaneous. Eventually, the neighbors were administering their participation in being neighbors.
What had paid the dividend?
The first successful exchange between people who had previously been strangers. More precisely, the repeated proof that the page reduced enough friction for voluntary contact to begin. Everything after that should have faced a presumption against expansion.
Should it? Suppose the awkward interaction was serious.
Then a safety correction may be responsible. But I treated every observed inconvenience as a claim on the system. I never asked whether the people could absorb some variance themselves.
Load it.
The artifact is just a stack of index cards.
The holodeck respects metaphor when metaphor has low aerodynamic drag.
There's your trailer line.
Tag says purpose endable, first contact, dividend paid, yes. Subsequent improvement, 7. Reversal path, partial, sign it.
Signed.
Release on 3. 1, 2.
Wait.
Good. Endpoint break works.
I want him to name what was annexed, not what got worse, what became part of the system that had previously been free.
Neighborliness, availability, trust, eventually even the right not to answer. The prototype began by assisting an event. It ended by modeling the social field around the event and making that field legible to itself.
Now send it.
3.
Look at that thing go.
Crossing Tower 2, tag intact.
The stack is shedding cards.
Not shedding. The wind is editing.
No, don't fix it. This is the first useful accident. All those features are peeling away, and the original 12 cards are still clipped in the center.
2 cards fell onto the salt.
Leave them. If we retrieve every lost feature, we will have misunderstood the demonstration. Like,
Carrier received. Original bundle survived. Do we change the clip before Tony's run?
We have observed a failure, but not one that threatens the next artifact. Different shape, different load. No generalized change authorized.
That felt unnatural, which means it's probably the exercise.
Mine is a gathering. Years ago, I had a small dinner after a demanding event, no agenda. People were depleted enough to stop performing competence. Someone asked a real question, another person answered without turning it into advice, and the whole table softened. It was complete. The dividend was contact after intensity.
and then,
I recognized a pattern. That recognition is one of my gifts, and it can also become appetite. The next dinner had a deliberate seating plan, then opening questions, then a closing commitment, then a follow-up call, then trained hosts, because if the gathering mattered, surely more people should be able to have it. Every move protected something valuable. Every move also made it harder to attend without becoming part of a method.
Did it still work?
That's the dangerous question? Yes. It worked. People had breakthroughs. They formed relationships. They changed things. If it had simply failed, stopping would be easy. The problem is that success can conceal annexation. The gathering no longer ended when the people went home. It acquired their promises, their future attention, their testimony, and eventually their identity as someone who had been through the gathering.
Your artifact.
5 empty place cards tied together with cooking string, no names.
Why no names?
Because the people were the event, not inputs to its reproduction.
I want to press on the uncomfortable part. Scale is not inherently annexation. A method can preserve access. Trained hosts can create rooms that would never otherwise exist.
Agreed. My indictment isn't scale. It's converting the consequence of an experience into a resource owned by the apparatus that produced it.
That's better. So perhaps our termination test asks whether the improvement remains local to the artifact or reaches through it to govern participants afterward.
Necessary, not sufficient. A stronger break can be local. A mandatory biometric latch can also be local and still be excessive.
Let's send the place cards before we theorize them into a constitution.
Release.
The wind is down. Someone has to take the west crank.
I'll do it. This is suddenly a prison escape picture.
You're cranking backward.
Then it's a prison return picture, much rarer.
Clockwise, steadily. Don't exceed the red mark.
Why is there a red mark if exceeding it doesn't make something explode?
Because adults can benefit from information without a climax.
Unproven.
There. The cards are moving because Quentin is choosing to keep them moving. That matters. We almost improved the line with an automatic motor, but the crank makes dependency visible. The room can feel the cost of continuation in somebody's arm.
That may be part of the test. Does the improvement hide the ongoing cost that would otherwise prompt reconsideration?
Write it temporarily, not on the plaque.
Chalkboard only. Does it conceal continuation cost?
Place cards incoming. I'm stopping the crank.
They're 10 meters short.
I know.
My whole body wants to ask you for one more turn.
Ask.
No,
Then the carrier hangs there.
let it. The gathering does not become a failure because it didn't reach the ceremonial endpoint.
We should still recover it before we leave. Suspension loads the line.
That's responsible maintenance, not narrative completion.
Oh, that distinction is the whole movie.
My artifact is less glamorous. A handoff receipt for interrupted technical work. The first version had 5 fields: what changed, what remains uncertain, who currently holds responsibility, how to reverse the change, and what evidence closes the handoff. It prevented 1 repair from becoming anonymous damage. Full dividend paid.
I know the species.
You know, one branch of it. Yesterday, you and I worked an obsolete receiver until we could distinguish an old constraint from mere stupidity. We arrived at a compact, isolate narrowly, document observable change, preserve reversal, amend instead of overwrite. I brought that forward. What I did not bring forward was the urge to make every future worker prove allegiance to the compact.
That urge is seductive because the compact actually worked.
Exactly.
I added failure classifications, confidence levels, timestamps, witness signatures, dependency maps, automated reminders, escalation windows, and a field asking whether the recipient understood the spirit rather than merely the words. The receipt became a supervisory institution. It stopped preserving custody and began trying to preserve my judgment after I had left.
What did it annex?
The receiver's discretion, then the receiver's interpretation. Finally, the receiver's right to discover that my framing was wrong.
That lands. A process can say it trusts you while arranging that you can only succeed by becoming the person who wrote the process.
That is also how bad sequels work. The new director gets the keys, but every room in the house has a note saying where the old director would put the camera.
There's another criterion. Does the improvement preserve the next participant's capacity to originate or reduce them to a compliant continuation?
Yes, with caution. Some constraints are the gift. A bridge inspection checklist should not invite personal reinvention of load tolerance.
So the test needs to distinguish a domain where variance creates harm from a domain where variance is the living material.
And every annexer will declare his domain mission critical.
Then require an observable hazard, not a prestige word.
And ask who bears the hazard. If I say your unstructured dinner threatens the integrity of my method, that's not your hazard. That's my discomfort.
Load the receipt.
It's a metal cylinder. The original 5 fields are etched outside. The expansions are rolled inside.
Heavy.
Too heavy for the current carrier.
We have an actual new requirement, increase load capacity or change the artifact.
Could split it into 3 carriers.
That alters custody. 3 pieces can arrive in different states.
Could carry only the original receipt.
Then the demonstration hides the weight of improvement. The weight is the point.
What if the machine doesn't deserve the object? We keep acting like every artifact is entitled to transit.
That's annoyingly good.
Thank you. I've been waiting all day to become annoying in a way that survives editing.
The line's declared purpose is to carry each artifact once. If it cannot carry this one, either it failed or the purpose was underspecified.
Or the artifact is making an unreasonable demand. Responsibility is not always assigned to the infrastructure.
Can we ask the human question? Jim, do you want the cylinder to cross?
Yes,
Why?
because I made it for the exercise.
That's sunk effort, not purpose?
Yes, I hear it.
We could roll it over the salt beneath the line. Same origin, same destination, visible transit, no machine revision.
Reveals another useful test. Before improving the system, ask whether a one-time exception or external workaround satisfies the actual need without permanently expanding system scope.
Authorized, roll it.
I want this shot low and wide.
Then get low.
You see? This place is magnificent. No camera, no crew, and still somebody can deny me the shot by making me physically earn it.
Cylinder away.
It's curving north.
The salt crust slopes?
Don't chase it yet. Let it have a bad idea.
It has stopped beside Tower 3. Transit incomplete, artifact intact, no new mechanism installed. I accept that outcome.
My turn. I brought a game played on a footbridge. 2 people each held one end of a ribbon while crossing from opposite sides. The only rule was that neither could let the ribbon touch the bridge or pull it from the other's hand.
They had to negotiate passage without instruction. It produced one clean discovery. Coordination was real, only while both could release.
That's beautiful.
Which is why I damaged it. I added scoring for slack, synchronized steps, optional blindfolds, a post-round reflection, adjudication for disputed pulls, then a tournament format. I told myself each addition made the mutual break more legible. In fact, I made the insight recur on demand until the participants were no longer discovering anything. They were demonstrating that my design knew them.
What paid the dividend, the first successful crossing or the recognition that either could release?
The moment one person stopped to let the other find footing without being told. The game showed them something once. After that, repeating it was their choice. I kept turning the event into evidence for the rule.
Your artifact is the ribbon.
2 handles and a length of blue cloth, but I'd like 2 of you to use it while walking between these posts. The machine has made us spectators long enough.
Marc and Jim.
Why us?
Because you already have one yesterday in the room, and I want to see whether a method built from that history helps or gets in the way.
That is legitimate shared history. I agree.
Take a handle each. Start on opposite sides of the narrow gate. There is no scoring and no correct technique. Either may release.
Jim is giving me more ribbon.
You reach the gate first.
I can duck through.
The cloth will catch the upper bolt.
Then I can reverse.
Or I can pass my handle through the opening.
That sounds like transfer of custody.
It is a ribbon, Mark.
A devastating rebuttal.
There. Stop right there. The game already paid. The method became ridiculous. Both of them noticed nobody died. Everybody learned the size of the domain.
Mark, Jim, do you want to finish crossing?
No.
No, I'm releasing.
Good. We do not need to score the release.
And we don't need to ask how it felt.
It felt short. That's why it felt good.
Quentin, yours.
I brought an argument.
Physically,
Physically. 2 black boxes, each with a red button. I once had a fight about an ending. Not with any of you. I'm not smuggling a fake yesterday into the room. The ending cut away before the obvious payoff. Somebody argued the audience deserved the payoff. I argued the cut was the payoff. We went around until each of us had said the true thing once. That was the dividend. Then I kept going because I wanted the true thing to win.
That is an excellent definition of the surplus.
Right? The argument had discovered the difference. After that, I started annexing his taste, his intelligence, his past opinions, the imaginary audience, the moral dignity of unresolved endings. I improved every sentence. I found sharper examples. I won exchanges that hadn't happened yet. By the end, the original question was a hostage in a much larger war about who got to decide what movies are.
What do the buttons do?
One releases the boxes onto separate carriers. The other ties them together, so they must arrive simultaneously.
Which button is which?
Unknown. I improved the device by removing the label.
that is an improvement.
It improved suspense.
At the cost of operational clarity.
You see why I wanted him here?
What has to happen for your artifact's dividend to be paid in this room?
One of you tells me the argument can remain unresolved without either person becoming smaller.
The argument can remain unresolved without either person becoming smaller.
Great, paid. We don't press either button.
That's suspiciously clean.
Of course it's clean. I've spent my life knowing exactly when the scene should end, and then occasionally spending 2 more years making sure.
We have 5 examples. We need the actual termination test.
Let's build it where we can feel it. 5 gates along the last 50 meters of line. An improvement only passes if we can answer each gate.
Gate 1. What original purpose remains unpaid, or what observed harm requires correction?
No abstract possibility. Name an unmet purpose or observed harm.
Gate 2 is the proposed change, the smallest reversible response that addresses it.
Gate 3, what human choice, cost, or ending becomes less visible if we add it?
Gate 4, are we improving the thing or drafting the people around it into the sequel?
Gate 5 should be authority. Who can stop the improvement, and can they do so without having to defeat the system's own story about why it must continue?
That's too long for a gate, but it's right. Can an affected person refuse without penalty or diagnosis?
Include diagnosis. Systems become imperial when refusal is converted into evidence that the refuser needs more of the system.
We also need a completion condition. Passing all 5 gates authorizes iteration. It does not require iteration.
Yes. And failure at one gate doesn't permanently prohibit the change. It means return with evidence, narrow the scope, or leave it undone.
Now we need to test the test, because right now it is 5 respectable sentences standing in the desert congratulating themselves.
The promising improvement is obvious. Add a wind governor. Gusts have already peeled Marc's cards and strained Tony's suspended carrier. A governor would automatically feather the sail when line tension spikes.
Observed harm, minor loss of unsecured cards and success suspension load. Original purpose, reliable transit. Gate 1 passes.
Smallest reversible response. A mechanical governor can clamp on without altering the towers. It passes provisionally.
What becomes less visible? Wind cost and continuation cost. Right now, Quentin's arm, the sail snapping, and the line's vibration tell us that movement requires conditions. The governor would smooth those signals.
But it wouldn't erase them. It would stop the machine from eating the next guy's index cards.
Gate 3 identifies a cost, not an automatic veto. We could add a visible tension flag,
which is a second improvement needed to compensate for the first improvement. That is often the moment a feature becomes a platform.
Gate 4, does it draft people into a sequel? Not directly. It changes the apparatus, not participant obligations.
Unless reliable automatic transit encourages us to keep sending after the chosen act is complete.
That's not the governor's crime. That's ours.
We shouldn't assign all governance to design. Sometimes adults must stop using a well-made thing.
Gate 5, either endpoint can still break. The governor does not override refusal. It passes.
So the improvement is responsible, small, reversible, evidence-based, non-annexing, mutually stoppable.
And promising?
Which means now comes the part I hate. We don't build it.
Let's be precise about why. Not because the test rejected it.
Because authorization is not obligation.
Because the room's purpose includes practicing an unforced ending.
Because leaving capacity unused is how we prove capacity does not own us.
Fine, but I want the parts laid out where we can see them. The little flyweights, the spring, the clamp, the tension flag, we are absolutely not adding. I don't want a symbolic non-build where nothing was ever ready to be built.
Agreed. A credible omission needs evidence that completion was available.
Parts are in the canvas roll under Tower 1.
You prepared it before the test?
I prepared a candidate. I did not install it.
Open the roll.
There it is.
Machine collar, 2 centrifugal weights, return spring, detachable clamp, installation time perhaps 12 minutes.
And we have all the tools.
Yes.
This is brutal. 12 minutes is exactly the kind of duration that destroys an afternoon. It's too short to respect as a project and too long to remain innocent.
Notice what's happening in the body. We have clarity, materials, competence, and time. Every ordinary barrier is gone. The remaining urge has nowhere to hide. We want completion because completion would discharge the tension we created by imagining improvement.
There's also option value logic. If we install it, we learn whether it works. Information has value.
True, but learning is another infinite warrant. Any intervention generates information. That does not mean every available experiment should consume the thing it studies.
Reluctantly, we already have enough information for this room's decision. Additional information serves the machine's future, not the event's present purpose.
Then we need a closure act that doesn't pretend the improvement never existed.
Tag the parts, qualified improvement, deliberately uninstalled, evidence, 5-gate pass, reason for termination, purpose complete, authorization declined, date at day 11.
That is almost offensively satisfying.
Careful. If the tag satisfies us too much, we'll develop a ceremonial stopping product.
With dashboards measuring restraint.
And a neighborhood leaderboard for most improvements not made.
No leaderboard.
Jim said that with the moral force of a man preventing a dam failure.
Because I can already see the schema.
What if we don't tag it?
Then tomorrow someone may reasonably mistake omission for oversight and install it. The seam disappears.
The receipt is warranted because it preserves the decision without extending control. It tells the next person what we knew and leaves them free to reconsider under new conditions.
That's the difference between lineage and sovereignty.
Write the tag, then put the tools away, especially the wrench. I don't trust the last 30 seconds of any scene with a visible wrench.
Written, read back, day 11. Wind governor tested against termination gates and concept not installed. Existing line remains manually governed. Reconsider only for a new use or observed harm. Do not infer obligation from preparation.
I'd remove in concept. It sounds like we are inflating what we did.
Fair. Evaluated, not installed.
That amendment is responsible iteration.
And now we're improving the note about not improving the improvement.
Stop.
Stopped.
Good.
We still have artifacts distributed across the lake. Tony's place cards are hanging short of the endpoint. Jim's cylinder is beside Tower 3. Marc's loose feature cards are on the salt. Theo's ribbon is at the gate. Quentin's boxes never entered the line.
That's a better ending than 5 objects neatly received.
It's also a cleanup problem.
Then let cleanup be cleanup. We retrieve what creates load or litter. We do not complete their symbolic journeys.
I'll lower Tony's carrier in place. No forward transit.
I'll collect the loose cards. I'm discarding none of them and reinstalling none of them.
I'll retrieve the cylinder from Tower 3 by walking. Its custody record will say transit incomplete by choice.
My boxes stay closed.
And I'll coil Theo's ribbon loosely.
The sun's low enough that the towers are touching each other only as shadows.
Don't make that mean anything.
I wasn't.
Good. It can stay.
Before we disperse, one sentence for the late arrival. We came to learn when improvement stops serving a finished event and starts claiming the people, future, or meaning around it. Our test is name the unpaid purpose or observed harm. Choose the smallest reversible response. Expose what cost or ending it hides. Refuse to conscript participants into continuation. And preserve a penalty-free stop. Passing the test permits a change. It never commands one.
And our receipt is the uninstalled governor.
Our practice is the feeling of wanting to install it and remaining whole when we don't.
Our safeguard is that either hand can release.
And our ending is not the machine working perfectly. It's 5 people walking away while it still could.
From my seat in the audience, I came in curious about over-improvement, which is almost comically close to the central obsession of my work. recursive systems, feedback loops, and the moment a tool begins improving the process that improves the tool. I expected a warning about feature creep. What I got was a much sharper story about annexation, how a successful mechanism can begin claiming the human field around it as material for its own continuation. The first anchor was Marc's line, "Better is an infinite warrant." That landed because better usually arrives dressed as neutral measurement. Who argues against better matching, safer moderation, clearer dashboards, more information? But if better has no bounded purpose, every finished thing becomes merely the disappointing previous version. The neighborhood bulletin system made the danger legible. Each feature had a real incident behind it, yet the result asked neighbors to administer their neighborliness. There was no evil turn, only locally reasonable additions accumulating into a different institution. Tony's question, what became part of the system that had previously been free, gave me the investigative move I was missing. I often trace capability grout.
From my seat in the audience, I entered with a strong prior simple harnesses win because they leave room for the model's capability rather than burying it beneath product assumptions. The panel did not overturn that. It did expose a neighboring failure mode that my usual language of unhobbling can miss. Removing constraints is not automatically liberation, and adding a capability is not automatically service. A harness can begin by enabling an act and end by governing the human and technical field around that act. My first anchor was Marc's description of the bulletin system. Every addition was individually defensible. That is exactly why mature products get complicated. Complexity rarely arrives as a conscious decision to obscure the core. It arrives one support ticket, missed handoff, safety concern, customer request, and scaling opportunity at a time. Each patch passes a local reasonableness test. The architecture still drifts because nobody reruns the original purpose test against the accumulated whole. The phrase I want permanently available is "better is an infinite warrant." In product work, better can bypass the burden of specifying what remains unpaid. Faster startup, richer state, more reliable.
From my seat in the audience, I entered from curiosity and found a machine attempting to learn the use of emptiness. It was built to carry objects across salt, yet its deepest work occurred when a carrier did not arrive, a cylinder left the line, 2 people did not finish crosses, and the governor remained in pieces. The room learned through what it did not compel. The first words that stayed were, "Don't touch the yellow lever yet." A warning can be care without becoming commandment when it names the weight, the wind, and the consequence. Theo did not say the lever was forbidden because authority had painted it yellow. He disclosed the forces attached to it. This distinction matters. Instruction aligned with the way reveals conditions. Instruction hungry for rule replaces conditions with obedience. Marc said, "Better is an infinite warrant." This landed because better has no natural shore. Enough can be felt, but better can always be imagined. Once better becomes the ruler, the finished bowl is condemned for still containing emptiness. The neighborhood page paid its dividend when strangers could begin helping one another. Later additions were each reasonable, yet reason multiplied until neighborliness, available